Okay, so I have watched the movie yesterday, and as you guys can see, I'm already a fan of the Tornado Wrangler.
Even our sound designer who is designing the sounds of these tornadoes, he survived a tornado when he was about 9 years old, and he was trying to recreate that memory of what that sound was.
Hi everyone, my name is Nandra. I represent Cinema 21.
What's up, man?
It's so great. Nice to meet you.
Look at that background going crazy. Let's get
Thank you. Okay, so I have watched the movie yesterday, and as you guys can see, I'm already a fan of the Tornado Wrangler. Okay, so since many scenes, especially in the third act, involve you guys being wet all the time, can you guys share the secret of looking good while being soaked? Because I tried it and it doesn't look good for me.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure every shot it's a challenge. That was maybe the biggest challenge of filming, honestly, was looking in any way cool whilst also being blasted by a jet engine and rain machines. I think for me, it was very well-placed dirt. We had to be dirtied up, but there's ways you can place them that give a bit of contour. So that, for me, that was the trick. I don't know about you guys.
Looking even better with dirt on your face. Yeah. Daisy knows how to do it. She's a real pro.
What about you, Anthony? Do you have any secret sauce to make it look good while wet?
It doesn't need to do anything.
Nothing. I was just hoping that the water hit in the right spot where the strand of hair just hit in the right place. You can't control any of that, you know? You just kind of try to move the hair out of your face and then say the line to Glenn, "This building isn't built to withstand what's coming." You know? In the most cool way you can possibly do that.
Okay, even being an old movie, Twisters are very famous in Indonesia because there's a local TV station that show the movie regularly every year. How do you think the fans of the old film are gonna enjoy this one?
I'm sorry, did you say Twister is shown every year on the channel?
Yeah, it's very famous, the first one. Even though it's an old movie, it's shown regularly every year.
Incredible. I had no idea that happens.
Yeah, because of that, every childhood, maybe in my age, are very familiar with the movie.
Wow, that's incredible. It's funny, I grew up just outside of Oklahoma. So I grew up on that border of Oklahoma. And when that movie came out, for me it meant a lot because it was taking place in the part of the country where I grew up. Yeah. And I really didn't know that it was such a popular movie all around the world. And it was only later when I went to college that I realized it was a big deal everywhere. There is something about that film that captures people's affections in a way. I think it has to do with the relationships that are shown and friendships, and we all somehow relate to an idea of these massive destructive things, but we also relate to the way that informs our relationships, I feel. So I think that's what makes that story special, and hopefully something that we capture in this new one.
Okay, so what were the biggest challenges you guys faced while preparing for your role, especially with the intense weather elements in the movie?
Gosh, I mean, there were so many challenges. I mean, the actual weather was a challenge for us because we were filming in tornado season in Oklahoma for real, and out in the sticks. We weren't really on green screens half the time. So a lot of the challenges were actually being able to finish any shooting days, because most of the time our sets would be blown away by an actual windstorm that we would then have to rebuild to then blow them away on camera. So that was definitely a challenge. But for me, I think the biggest thing was we had a lot of technical weather jargon that we were often given quite close to action. And so we had a bunch of storm chasers and meteorologists on set who were there to consult and to guide us and make sure that we were using the technical term properly and looked like we knew what we were talking about. So that for sure was one of my biggest challenges.
And that jargon doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of that stuff is, but I will say it was very satisfying when all the advisors and consultants on the movie, we would say it right and they'd give us a high five afterwards. Awesome. We got it, but it's you can't improvise while looking at clouds, No. We're not meteorologists.
Okay, so without giving too much away, what's the most challenging scene to shoot and why?
Honestly, I think the very last sequence of the film, the last 30 minutes of the movie was very difficult to make. That required so many logistics, all of our actors, so many special effects, rigging, VFX, and we were filming a lot of that on location, like within a town. We were destroying a big set that we had created in the middle of a town. We were tipping over a trolley. All of those things were just very difficult. Plus, we were dealing with weather that was actually coming in and disrupting our set. We had this massive windstorm that destroyed our set, and then we had to rebuild it. So yeah, when I think about that sequence, that was definitely the biggest challenge.
You've mentioned in one of your interviews you're experiencing a tornado shortly after moving to Arkansas, right? Back in your childhood.
Yeah.
How did that personal experience influence your approach to directing this movie?
Honestly, my first brush with something that was much bigger than me and something that was very dangerous. So that always stayed with me. I think anyone who goes through an event like that as a child, that tends to stay with them. That definitely infused a lot of my emotional views of this movie, of the way to present the things that are happening. I tend to like that childlike lens on things. I like that childlike lens on people and the way that people talk, and I try to inhabit a certain naivete, if that makes sense. Even our sound designer, who is designing the sounds of these tornadoes, he survived a tornado when he was about 9 years old, and he was trying to recreate that memory of what that sound was as he was creating the design of the tornadoes. So hopefully this film does feel like it has some of that magic.
Okay, so do you guys have any unexpected or maybe funny behind the scenes moments that you share with me?
I mean, Daisy was our resident line dancing captain. We would, going out in Oklahoma City. What?
It changes every time. Like first she's the resident DJ. She's the resident line dancing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I'll say Daisy. If you cast her in all the movies, it's a lot more fun of an experience when you put Daisy Edgar-Jones.
She can do anything.
She can do it all. But line dancing is a skill set I didn't know she had. She really comedian, but truly. Wearing a cowboy hat, you embrace the boots and the hat and the line dancing like I've never seen before. I don't know if they've given you the key to Oklahoma City yet, but they should.
I'm waiting.
They should.
I've been at the post waiting.
They really should.
Okay, so how did you balance the high stakes action with more character driven storytelling in this movie, especially with your background with the movie like Minari?
The types of action movies I quite like are ones in which the action is very much character driven, and films in which any disaster or anything big that is happening is actually very much tied to the human heart in some way. So I thought about that a lot. Every single action beat in this film, we kind of have like 7 big action beats in this film. I really thought about why should that action beat exist in terms of character? What is it doing for Kate's journey? So that was really the basis of all of those action beats. And once I put my mind in that way, it was very easy to figure out the way to approach these action beats, like on a subjective or objective level, the types of energy within those beats, the tempo, all of those things. It's meant to all get rooted back into this character of Kate.
Okay, so why do you believe Twisters need to be watched in an IMAX screen? Because it's gonna screen on IMAX in Indonesia. What about the film that benefits more from the IMAX experience?
Personally, I feel like there's something infectious about storm chasing. The people who do it, they always talk about how they caught the bug for storm chasing. When you come up close and personal to something that's massive and giant, that's of the real world, that's bigger than yourself, it creates a sense of awe. That feeling of awe is something that all of us need to escape our own minds. I firmly believe in that. And the IMAX screen, I think, is such a wonderful way to come face to face with these tornadoes. It makes the tornadoes much bigger. The sound is really incredible. And it just replicates that experience of coming up against a natural phenomenon. As a kid, I loved going to IMAX to watch things that were made about the stars, outer space, nature. IMAX was a wonderful way to do all of that. And I feel like we've made a movie that allows that with another force of nature, which are tornadoes. So hopefully people will come out and check it out.
Do you have anything to say to Twisters fans in Indonesia?
We really thoroughly hope you enjoy the film. I think it feels like a summer blockbuster like we haven't had in a while. And so I hope you bring the family and are thoroughly entertained.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Asik kan videonya? Jangan lupa like, subscribe, dan komen ya. Sampai bertemu di video selanjutnya.